Why do PhDs hate writing so much? Writing is a huge part of any academic pursuit, and getting a PhD is obviously no different. So today we're talking about why PhDs hate writing so much. And the first reason is that your writing is something tangible. It is something real that can be judged. So much of being an academic are our ideas and pontificating and thinking about things. But the moment that you write it down, it becomes real. And when something is real, there's a lot of opportunities for people to criticize, to critique, to look for the loopholes or the mistakes, or even worse, try to prove that you're not that smart. And because of that, writing can just feel like it's such high stakes. When you're in a classroom and you're just talking, or when you're having discussions with your community or your cohort, nothing feels very permanent. You're saying things, but you can always change your ideas and mold and become a different person. But when you are writing, it becomes kind of ingrained, written in stone, that this is who you are and this is what you believe. And while that doesn't have to last forever, because as academics we will be writing for the rest of our career, it can feel like it will. And like I said, once we write something down and it's real with our name on it, we become vulnerable to other academics kind of tearing us apart. And I genuinely hate that this is a part of academia, and maybe in a future scape it won't be. But for now, it's true. When we write, there is a high chance that people might be reading our writing not to help us become more complex thinkers, think more critically about our questions, or explore new possibilities, but just to find all the ways they think we're doing things wrong, that we could be better, or to undermine us and make us feel like we're not good enough. This isn't to say it has to be like that, but it does require us to have different conversations about writing, to build a community of people that can help you develop skills in writing that you are proud of, while also creating different relationships with our writing so we are more open or more prepared to handle critique versus taking it personally. We can see it as either a reflection of the person that is kind of being rude and critiquing you, or as an opportunity to reframe our previous writing or reframe our major questions to help address these concerns, because they may still be valid. Another reason people hate writing is that there's just always room for improvement. And a lot of other skill sets, you can get good at something and kind of master it. But with writing, because it's so stylistic, personalized, and is basically literally an art form, there's just always ways to get better. And for a lot of academics, that can be really daunting, because you just want to be able to convey your argument in the best way possible. But different arguments may require different writing approaches. Not to mention, just like I just talked about being vulnerable to critique, if there's always room for improvement, there's always room for critique. And after a certain point, you may have fatigue from getting feedback, or may just not want to hear what other people have to say about your writing. These are all very valid experiences, and a big reason why so many PhD students and academics dread the writing process. But again, if we're approaching this writing process as not something that has to be a representation of us as individuals, but rather just a moment, a work in progress, even after publication, to help you as a stepping stone to continue to develop as an academic, it can help mitigate, or at the least minimize, a lot of that stress to be perfect. And instead of seeing it as something that you should master, instead you could practice seeing writing as, well, a practice. And as you continue to exercise, you will gain new skills, new fluidity, new comfortability with your writing, and with that will also come confidence. Also, there are ways to develop your writing in technical ways. You can go to writing workshops. You can create a writing group with your colleagues or cohort where you can give each other feedback and guidance on how to improve your writing. Or for very minute editorial details, you can download software like Grammarly to help you with your syntax, your grammar, and even your argumentation style. If this is something that you're interested in, these types of software where they have AI incorporated in it can also help you rethink how you're formulating your paragraphs, your word choices, and things of that nature. I use Grammarly all the time to help me as a beginning stepping stone before I enter into my writers group to develop my writing. So if that is a concern for you, make sure that you are looking for resources outside of just yourself that feel safe and encouraging to help you improve your writing skills. Another reason why PhDs hate writing is that it's personal. It really is your thoughts. And while I just kind of said it didn't have to be personal, the truth is if they're your ideas and this is your writing and this is how you're presenting them, of course it's going to be personal. And nobody wants to have their greatest ideas, or at the very least ideas that they thought were good, to get a bunch of negative feedback. Even if it's not people critiquing, people can say, well, this was well written, but you're wrong. And that still does not feel very good as a PhD student or as an academic. Also, as a PhD student specifically, you are expected to submit your writing to your committee, to faculty, to your mentors. And so there is an active moment of people that have to tell you if what you're saying is wrong, not good enough, or should be better. And so on one hand, you kind of just want to write about what you care about and keep moving and continue to learn. But as a PhD student, a big part of that learning process is to learn what part of your personal thoughts or your personal ideas don't actually hold water, or are very valid, but you're not explaining them well, or need to be substantiated better. And this can be very dysregulating, uncomfortable, and can make you feel nervous because you never know, are your ideas good enough? Are they just not being presented well enough? Or if somebody's being mean. And that is one of the hardest, most uncomfortable parts of writing as a PhD student because there's so much uncertainty. And another reason why PhDs hate writing is that it feels very permanent and important. Once you write something and it's published or submitted or pushed towards the public, you feel like there's no room for you to change, that you have to be held accountable to that writing for the rest of your life. And while that is a real feeling and that writing will exist within the ether for probably ever, the truth is you don't have to be held to it forever. A big part of being an academic is learning. And through our learning process, we will continue to write about similar topics and develop and grow our ideas, approaches, and our writing style. And so even though publication or submissions feel permanent, the truth is you are more than welcome to develop and become a new scholar every year, every time you publish something. And instead of seeing it as something that is immobile, you can see it as just, again, stepping stones to the path of you becoming the scholar of your own dreams. Many PhD students do not enjoy writing at all. I'm one of the very few that actually think writing is a very cathartic and positive process. Now, there are a million ways for you to improve your writing and your relationship with writing. And one of the first ways to do so is to head to this reading and writing playlist where I share all of my tips and tricks with writing and reading as a graduate student. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.